Mahiya naman kayo.
Hindi lang isa o dalawa o tatlo, kundi siyam pala na kumpanya ng mga diskayang nakasungkit umano.
When the rain came that year, it wasn't supposed to expose anything. But by morning, it had uncovered billions. Water swallowed entire streets, and somewhere beneath that flood, a paper trail began to surface. It was supposed to protect people from disaster. Instead, it revealed who built it.
Mahigit 5,500 flood control project ang natapos na at marami pang iba ang kasalukuyang ginagawa sa buong bansa.
In 2022, the government announced 10,000 flood control projects nationwide. For a while, it looked like hope. But 3 years later, the same cities drown. Behind the blueprints, familiar names returned. The first anomaly was small, a finished project with no coordinates. The second was stranger, a ribbon cutting with no build logs. By the 10th, denial was no longer possible. A community in Quezon City was told their canal was complete. The satellite showed dirt, weeds, and a stagnant puddle. Anchors began to count. Budgets approved, contracts awarded, milestones certified, but no concrete, no steel, and no workers on site. Inside DPWH, a clerk noticed a signature dated months after the official had already retired. Another found inspection photos reused across districts. The same angle, the same stain on the wall. A river that looked suspiciously familiar. In September 2025, a Senate hearing peeled back the curtain. 2 names stood at the center: Pacifico Curly Discaya and Cesara Sara Discaya, owners of St. Gerard Construction Company, accused of orchestrating one of the largest corruption scandals in Philippine infrastructure history. Billions promised for protection, millions pocketed instead.
Natutuwa ako sa payong. Paano to?
Sa payong.
Ayan. Pero hindi ko pinagagamit yung payong na to.
Hindi pwedeng gamitin.
Oo, kasi mahal.
September 8, 2025, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee investigates ghost flood control projects. Contracts existed only on paper. Curly and Sarah Discaya faced the Senate, accused of building dikes that never existed. Barely a month later, Quezon City terminated 4 multi-million peso projects linked to the Discayas. Among them, the 6-story multi-purpose building, the Ermitaño Creek Canal, and the twin Balingasa housing towers. 4 projects out of over 1,300. But those 4 opened a floodgate of questions. If these didn't exist, where did the money go? The Discayas weren't alone. Contractors multiplied shell companies, bidding against themselves, inflating costs, slicing budgets. Even the Philippine Competition Commission began to suspect bid rigging on a national scale. President Marcos Jr. admitted 15 contractors controlled 20% of all flood control projects. Audit trails began surfacing, allegedly linking House Speaker Martin Romualdez and Representative Zaldi Co to companies flagged in the DPWH's investigation. While no formal charges were confirmed, public outrage erupted. The machinery was no longer about floods. It was about power. This wasn't new. From Ondoy in 2009 to Ulysses in 2020, every storm exposed the same rot. Each time, leaders promised never again. Each time, it happened again. Flood control projects were supposed to end the cycle. Instead, they became the cycle itself. What began as a hearing about missing canals evolved into a full-scale revelation of a system built on deception. Senators took turns questioning DPWH engineers, but behind every statement was a shadow, a name that no one dared say out loud, until one voice broke the silence.
Tagabuhat lang ako ng malita ng basura. Ang ibig sabihin ng basura ay malita na may lamang pera. Ang bawat malita ay may lamang humigit kumulang 48 million pesos. Ang bawat malita ay may push-it na nakadikit na nakasaad kung magkano ang laman ng bawat malita. Tuwing may duty detail sa basura, may pumupunta na tao na magdi-deliver ng basura at nire-receive ni John Paul Estrada at Mark Tiksay. Ang mga executive assistant ni Congressman Saldico at sila ang mga detailed sa mga ganyang activities.
Whispers turned into headlines. Leaked memos linked not just Romualdez and Zaldico, but whispers began to include names like Escudero.
With his commitment to Congressman Zaldico. In this affidavit, I shall mention my personal knowledge regarding Senator Chis Escudero as follows. Maynard Ngu and I are close friends and we go years back. He is also a close friend and campaign contributor of Senator Chis Escudero.
Si Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada, Senator Joel Villanueva, Yusek Robert Bernardo, at D. Alcantara.
In the halls of Congress, contracts became currency. Loyalty, the collateral. Investigators traced networks that connected provincial mayors, regional DPWH directors, and contractors, all feeding into a cycle of engineered approvals. Each document stamped urgent, each signature worth millions.
Dilimpak-limpak po yung kinikita ng mga kurakot pala.
Billions. And they're stealing, some of them are stealing 1 billion a year, more than. And
So-
if you're stealing 1 billion a year, you're stealing 2.7 million a day.
Wow.
And alam mo ba yung dimension ng 1 billion? Kung at 1,000 pesos, that's 5 feet by 5 feet by 4 feet.
Magalong faced immense pressure. Allies turned distant, calls went unanswered. As the hearings expanded, public faith shrank. The people watched senators defend themselves with the same confidence they once used to promise protection from the flood. The system didn't collapse overnight. It eroded quietly, one broken dike at a time. In Pampanga, teachers waited for classrooms that never came. In Marikina, engineers admitted they were ordered to falsify inspections. In Bulacan, a farmer rebuilt the same wall 4 times in 10 years. Even priests spoke out. Father De Leon compared corruption to a rising flood, invisible until it reached your doorstep. A whistleblower, codenamed Maya, released over 400 pages of documents showing identical invoices repeated across multiple districts, each one a copy-paste job worth billions. When confronted, local officials smiled. It's all within the system, they said. And they were right. The system itself was the crime. On September 23, 2025, the streets filled with umbrellas, candles, and anger. Tens of thousands marched. Students, teachers, tricycle drivers. They called it Baja Saluneta. Social media became a battlefield. Troll farms pushed hashtags defending the politicians, calling the protest fabricated outrage. Yet footage from phones told the truth. police firing tear gas into crowds, elders fainting, students shielding others. News anchors wept on live TV. But it was too late. The truth had already gone viral. Magalong stood before the cameras one last time. As dawn broke, smoke covered Mendiola. The same streets once flooded with water were now flooded with people demanding change. In the weeks that followed, markets trembled. Investors withdrew. The government assured the public that the system was being corrected. But behind closed doors, projects continued, quietly renamed, reassigned, and rebudgeted. Francis Lim of the SEC issued a grim warning. When compliance dies, everything else drowns. And yet, the headlines faded. The noise died. The rain returned. Months later, the Senate committee's findings were shelved. Magalong resigned. The Discayas disappeared from the news. But in small barangays across Luzon, people started digging again. Not to build new projects, but to clear real canals. Ordinary citizens rebuilding what corruption left behind. A teacher in Marikina began a volunteer group to map real flood paths. An engineer in Pampanga now live streams each drainage cleanup. Transparency by necessity. Reform doesn't come like a storm. It drips, one honest act at a time. The flood control scandal didn't end with arrests or resignations. It ended with people realizing the water would always rise, unless they did first.